The last one was a paramedic. She was crouched over someone on the sidewalk, 2 blocks from my apartment, doing chest compressions with that mechanical 1,000-yard focus that means she had mentally left the building. I stopped because you stop. Everyone stops. There were maybe 8 of us standing in a loose, useless semicircle, watching and not watching, doing that thing where you take out your phone, not because you need it, but because you need somewhere to put your eyes. And then she looked up at me, not at the crowd, at me, like she'd been waiting for me specifically to arrive and was mildly irritated it had taken this long. She held eye contact for exactly 2 seconds. I know because I counted. The way you count when something is wrong and your brain is trying to measure the wrongness in units it understands. And then she leaned toward the unconscious man beneath her hands, and without breaking her rhythm, without stopping compressions, she whispered something. I didn't hear it. I was 6 feet away, but I saw her mouth move and I saw the shape of the words, and I knew what she said because by that point, I had heard it 11 times already. The same 7 words, the same flat, effectless delivery, whispered like a reminder, like something you say to yourself so you don't forget. I had heard it from strangers all morning, on the train, in the coffee shop, from a man who held the elevator door for me and then stared at the floor numbers and said it to the wall, from a teenager on a bike who I never even made eye contact with, who just pedaled past me and said it to the air in front of her face, like she was reciting something she'd memorized under duress. The same date, the same time, 3 days from now, 3:17 a.m. And here is what I keep coming back to. The thing I haven't been able to file away under stress or coincidence or a brain that needs more sleep. I never told anyone about the whispers. I didn't post about it. I didn't text anyone. I didn't say a word out loud until I got home and sat down and opened this thread because I had to put it somewhere before it ate me. And when I got home, there was a voicemail on my landline. I haven't given that number to anyone in 4 years. My landline exists because my landlord requires it in the lease and for no other reason. I have received exactly 2 calls on it. One from a polo about municipal water fluoridation and one from my mother, who died 8 months ago. I pressed play. 7 seconds of silence, and then very quietly, the same 7 words, different voice, same inflection, same flat, patient delivery. I don't know who any of these people are. I don't know how a paramedic mid-resuscitation and a teenager on a bicycle and a voicemail from a dead number are coordinated. I don't know what happens at 3:17 a.m. in 3 days, and I cannot decide whether I'm more afraid that something will happen or that nothing will. What I know is this. I've been in my apartment for 6 hours now. I ordered food an hour ago. The delivery driver left it outside my door without knocking, which they never do, which the app always flags as a required step. There's a note tucked under the bag. I haven't opened it. I'm going to open it after I finish writing this because apparently I've decided that documenting the situation is more important than immediately knowing whether the note says what I think it says, which in hindsight is a fascinating psychological choice that I will have plenty of time to feel bad about. I'll update this thread. I just wanted someone to know before 3:17, before 3 days from now. I wanted someone to know that I heard it, that it happened, whatever that ends up meaning. I should give context because I realized that opening with the paramedic makes me sound unhinged. And I need you to understand that I am one of the least dramatic people I know. I am a 34-year-old data analyst for a logistics company. My most controversial life choice is that I use a paper planner in 2025. My therapist, who I saw weekly for 2 years and quarterly now, has described me on multiple occasions as frustratingly self aware, which I think was a compliment the first time and a different kind of statement by the third. The point is, I am not someone who experiences things. I am someone who observes things, documents them, and then builds spreadsheets about them. Yesterday was normal in the way that Tuesdays are always normal, which is to say, completely forgettable. I worked from home until 2 p.m., went to the office for a team meeting that could have been an email, but wasn't. Stopped at the grocery store on the way back, made pasta, watched 40 minutes of a documentary about deep sea geology, and went to bed at 10:30. I remember all of this clearly. I remember it clearly because it was so aggressively ordinary that there is nothing for memory to catch on. It's smooth, featureless, a Tuesday that wanted nothing from me and received nothing in return. This morning started the same way. I woke up at 6:48, which is 12 minutes before my alarm, which happens sometimes when my downstairs neighbor, Mr. Velasquez, starts his day. He works a pre-dawn food prep shift somewhere and his routine is consistent. Alarm at 6:30, shower that sounds like a polite argument, coffee grinder for exactly 40 seconds. I've lived here long enough that his schedule has become a kind of ambient clock. I don't mind it. There's something quietly reassuring about the predictability of other people's lives. This morning, though, I woke up at 6:48 and the building was completely silent. Not just quiet, silent. No pipes, no street noise. From the window, I always leave, cracked 3 inches because I can't sleep in sealed spaces. No, Mr. Velasquez. I lay there for a moment feeling the specific unease of a routine that has suddenly stopped working. And then the ambient noise came back, a bus, a bird, the elevator cable. And I told myself I'd just woken from a deep stage of sleep and imagined the silence. I made coffee. I checked my phone. I had a notification from the news app I keep meaning to delete, a message from my coworker Dana about rescheduling a call and a calendar reminder I didn't create. That last thing, I should have stopped there. I should have looked at it longer. The calendar reminder said, don't be outside. No time attached, no location, no notes, created by an account identified only as a string of numbers I didn't recognize, which shouldn't be possible because my calendar is private and not linked to any public service. I deleted it. I will say that again because it matters. I saw it, registered it as strange, and deleted it because I decided it was a glitch. I told myself it was a glitch with the conviction of someone who has made data cleaning their personality. An anomaly in the data set. Remove it and move on. I moved on. I took the train to meet a friend for coffee, a standing Wednesday arrangement that Marcus and I have kept for almost 3 years. Marcus is a high school history teacher who is exactly as you'd imagine, a high school history teacher who chooses to spend his Wednesday mornings drinking overpriced coffee, thoughtful, gently cynical, incapable of a short answer. Being around him is restful in the way that reliable things are restful. I was looking forward to it. On the train, a man in a gray coat sat down across from me. 50s, maybe. Professional looking. He was reading something on a tablet, and I was looking out the window, and we existed in the ordinary parallel privacy of two people sharing a commuter car. After maybe 4 stops, he shifted in his seat, and I caught the movement in my peripheral vision and glanced over the way you automatically look when something moves near you, and he was looking directly at me. He said nothing for a moment. He held my gaze in that way that should feel aggressive, but didn't. It felt almost apologetic, like someone who is about to deliver bad news and is preemptively sorry about it. Then he leaned forward slightly and whispered. I couldn't hear the exact words over the train noise. I thought I saw the shape of them. I told myself I was imagining it. Pattern recognition, misfiring, brain inventing meaning from lip movements that were probably something else entirely. He looked away. He got off at the next stop without looking back at me. At the coffee shop, Marcos was already there, already halfway through his Americano, already reading something dense in paperback. He stood to hug me and said the normal things, and we sat down, and the conversation moved the way it always does, from small things to slightly bigger things in a warm, unhurried gradient. 40 minutes in, Marcus paused mid-sentence. He had been telling me about a student who'd submitted a paper claiming the moon landing was faked. He tells a version of this story at least once a semester. Different student, same existential exhaustion, and he just stopped mid-word. He looked past me. What? I said. He didn't answer right away. He was looking at a point somewhere over my left shoulder, at nothing I could identify when I turned around, just the cafe window, the street outside. Nothing, he said. Sorry, I was just... He trailed off, then shook his head and smiled in that slightly too wide way that people smile when they're trying to transition out of something uncomfortable. Sorry, what were we saying? We kept talking. The conversation normalized. I almost forgot about it. Almost. When we hugged goodbye outside, Marcus held on for 1 second longer than usual. Not dramatically, just one extra beat. He pulled back and looked at me in a way that I have been trying to describe to myself for the last 6 hours. And the closest I can get is like he was memorizing something, like someone making a mental note about an object they expect to be moved. Take care of yourself, he said, which is not something Marcus says. We say, see you next week, always, because the standing Wednesday arrangement has been unbroken for 3 years, and neither of us has ever suggested it might not continue. He said, take care of yourself. And then he walked in the opposite direction from where he usually parks. And I stood on the sidewalk watching him go. And I thought, that was strange. That was the first thought, the appropriate one. The second thought arrived about a minute later, the way the delayed sting of something arrives when adrenaline has done its job and left. Marcus knows. I didn't know what he knew. I still don't fully know what I think he knows. But that was the thought, unbidden and specific and wrong feeling in the way that true things sometimes feel wrong. I filed it under stress and kept walking. Later, I would think about the calendar notification I deleted, the one that said, don't be outside, the one I assumed was a glitch. I would think, whoever created it had access to my private calendar. I would think that alert had no timestamp, which means it was intended as a general instruction, not a specific one. I would think. I went outside anyway. I heard it 11 more times. And I would think, was the warning meant to protect me from hearing it or to protect someone else from the fact that I did? I would also think about the fact that Marcus and I have had the same standing Wednesday coffee date for 3 years. And I would try to remember, did he suggest it or did I? I was almost certain I suggested it. Almost.